You were tuned in to episode 102. Yes, 102 of the Goodfellas podcast. It's your boy G5 Jeff TV, aka G5, aka 5, aka the Guru. Got my main man with me, VP Shane, in the building. What's going on, Shane? You're on mute, baby. You're on mute.
I'm literally on the ropes right now, surviving.
You're on the roots. Hey, man.
Literally, I
But
feel
you,
like, feel
mhm.
like, who can I say? Do I feel like? I feel like, um, Deontay Wilder after round 6 with Tyson Fury. I just feel like
Ah, man,
I'm
you on the ropes.
on the
Hey,
rope.
man, but you in the game, though. That's all that matters, man. Um, Man, we got a lot to cover, man. Like a lot of I like to get into each podcast with a specific topic, but this one's gonna be kind of all over the place. We're gonna be bouncing around. Edgar Berlanga got a unanimous decision victory over Angulo. He was channeling his inner Mike Tyson, and we're gonna get into that in a minute. Reactpo with a devastating body shot knockout in his fight, and he's getting real close to that status where he's going to be a championship level. Um, we also had a lot of inductees into the Hall of Fame uh, this weekend. We're going to get into that, and
Definitely good, bro.
Anthony Joshua with his brand new deal with the Zone. He didn't re-sign with Sky, which is kind of, I guess you could say, it's falling in line with Eddie Hearn in a sense. We can get into that. Daniel Dubois with a knockout victory over Trevor Bryan. So we got a lot of places to go with this one. But
I
Shane,
mean, that's
I'm
what
gonna
it's
let
like.
you.
If
Hmm?
I was stay ready right now, I'll be crying. $400. I'll
I
be drained, bro.
big shout out to the big bro, man. Stay ready boxing. He was on the last podcast. He said he put $400 on Trevor Bryan. And Shane reaction was, bro, you could have gave me that 400. I'd have flipped that for you.
Literally
Like,
$400, bro.
bro,
Bro, that is a lot of money to lose on
I
a
would
bet,
have
bro.
listen, I would have bet $400. Now, don't get me wrong. I would have bet the fight going over 3.5 rounds. I would have bet it going over 3.5 rounds. I did predict the second round knockout, but ended up being a fourth round knockout. But out of all of the topics, Shane, where you want to go first?
I mean, we're here, so you might as well start with the boy.
All right, so Dubois, Trevor Bryan. Dubois got a fourth round stoppage over Trevor Bryan, and the build up, actually the weigh in was pretty good. He brought out like some tampons or something like that. And it was funny. And I'm sitting up there laughing. I'm like, this dude about to get his head like knocked smooth off. You know what I'm
Literally.
saying? Um, Going into the fight, because I know we didn't really speak on it that much. Like, what did you have any hopes for Trevor Bryan at all?
Not really. I mean, I just thought that I hadn't seen Trevor Bryan like I think I've only seen him in like one or two fights. I had thought that he would have had a little bit more of a reach advantage, going into the fight. So once I saw them on the scales at the weigh, and I was thinking most of the dimensions look even, so it just kind of confirmed the fact that I just thought, oh, Trevor Bryan was just going to get overwhelmed with offense, and that's just the way um the boy fights, overly aggressive.
Yeah. Let me get in the comment section real quick. Jamie Leroy in the building said, "What's happening, boys?" He said, "No Blunt." I don't know where Blunt is right now, man. He got the link, man. He got the red carpet as always, man. So if he decides to slide in, he gonna slide on in. But big shout out to Boxing First Vlog, aka the General, aka Blunt, aka Blunt Bayless, aka Mr. 1K, wherever he is at the moment. Big shout out to him. Aslam, what's going on? What you said? What's up? Big shout out to you, family. Jamie Leroy, Daniel Dubois called out Dillian. I feel that's a good fight. To be honest, I feel like he stops Dillian, but and I wouldn't have said that 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Right now, he stops
Boxing,
Dillian White.
but boxing is that sport. Like boxing is that sport where you're literally. I think this is the only sport where you can come off a bad performance and you're food for everyone. You know, like I haven't seen one fighter, especially in recent times, who loses and then people just start looking at you and think, "Oh, you're still cool. You're still like." I remember when Canelo lost, Josh Taylor had that performance. You know, people just look at you like you're food, and I just feel like Dylan's 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 like a bleeding man in a tank full of sharks.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fact. And it's crazy, man, because you have the thing with Dubois is he's gonna give you the same thing every single fight. He's gonna give you the same thing every single fight. And you have to weather the storm in order to get to Dubois. And that's what happened with Joe Joyce. And don't get it twisted. Dubois had Joe Joyce in trouble several times going into the back half of the fight. It's
Fact.
not easy. It's not easy getting to that back half against Dubois. Aslam said Dubois is fighting on Don King shows in front of 50 people. He ain't on Dillian's level. So
Yeah, that I think Jeff made that statement more out of Dylan's vulnerabilities than anything.
yeah, not in the sense of it's no comparison in terms of what Dillian White can do from a business aspect and all of that. All that's understood. But Dillian White is coming off of an embarrassing loss against the top guy. Don't get me wrong, but it was an embarrassing loss, so he has to go through the process of building himself back up. So it's guys like Dubois that he might possibly have to run through to get himself back up to that level. So
Right.
that's why I'm putting Dubois' name with a Dillian White, and it wasn't no bigger fans than Dillian White than on this platform. You know what I'm saying? So,
But the
but
sport's just what have you done for me lately, and it'll always be that type of sport. You know, what have you
absolutely,
done for me lately?
exactly. Mr. Motivator said, "Jeff, what's good, bro? What's good with you, player?" He said, "Where's OG?" Not sure where OG is right now, man, but he got the link. You know what I'm
That's
saying? So he
what I
might
would
slide
have.
up in here.
I would have loved to be around in the 70s and the 70s when when or the 60s when Ali had been he had uh been dropped by what's that dude's name in the UK? He got dropped by that dude in the UK. I can't remember his name. I'm looking at his face right now, but I can't remember his name. And then went into the Sonny Liston fight and he beat Sonny Liston. I would
Mhm.
want to know how people would have looked at that fight, or when he went tooth and nail with Joe Frazier and Ken Norton, but then beat George Foreman. I would want to know how if people was as reactionary back then as they are now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Um, I think back then they were more forgiving back then. We're a little more harsh now. If a guy win, we're at a point now a guy can win 9-3, and we gonna find something wrong. Where back then it was like if you got the dub, you got the dub. If you
Wh-
lost,
When would
you know,
that have changed then? Obviously, it would have been because of the media. But when would that have changed? Would you have said that would have changed in the 90s Tyson era? Or would that have changed in the
I think
80s?
media. I think media changed in the Money Mayweather era because that was the first time it was one person and their whole revenue was based off of people purchasing to see him lose or possibly lose. And that trickled down into the media and how the media actually started working as well. So I
Yeah,
think
that makes sense.
it started with that. It started with the Money
You know,
Mayweather.
yeah, that makes sense because if you remember, like certain companies, because of their allegiance with certain networks, their media outlets would portray certain fighters a certain way. And there was the real political divide at that time, with Pacquiao and Mayweather and everybody on that side of the street versus this side of the street. And media then decided to start being a divide. So let's say I was Pacquiao's broadcaster and Jeff was Mayweather's broadcaster. All my journalists, all the people that's writing articles, people that's doing the news, they're gonna be doing things in favor of Pacquiao and vice versa. And I
Yeah.
feel like that political, kind of what you see in America, because America does it massive when it's like CNN and Fox. I think when it's like uh, I don't know if it's Fox, I don't know what it is, but CNN when it's on like Democrats versus the
Republicans.
Republicans.
Yeah. Yeah.
You always see
It's
on the news the divide between different news stations.
yeah, it's always it's and boxing media actually went along those lines, and it was, to be more specific, it was, and I hate to say it, but for a while it was Wilder Fury. Before that, if you're talking strictly media, you're talking LDBC versus anti-LDBC. That was a thing for a minute. Um, so it was just, media has definitely changed over the past like 10 years. It's
I
definitely
mean,
changed.
even Don King tried to exploit it by, you know, trying to get white fans to back certain fighters, with certain promotions like Winnie, and trying to market certain fighters using race or using their country.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah. Jamie Leroy, um, Reacpo versus Lawrence boiling up to be a good fight.
freaking Okoli, Lawrence
Okoli,
Okoli.
yeah, Okoli, yeah. After Richard good stoppage on the weekend. Yeah, Shane and I was talking about that off camera. And Reactpo, I'm looking at, he's been moved very well. Let's get that
Very.
straight. He's been moved very well. And I think he's probably another maybe 2 fights away before I'm comfortable with him going against a goalie. So maybe a year and some change. Another 2 solid fights, solid opponents, solid fights, and he goes in and he does his thing. Then, you can't hold this kid back any longer. Like, you got to make that fight happen. So, you think he's
Speaking
ready
of
sooner than that?
I mean, I agree with everything you said. Speaking of a solid opponent, we have a solid opponent in the comment section right now.
Absolutely. Mr. Evenson Gabu in the building. Big shout out to Gabu. That's a fight we definitely want to see happen. Reactpo versus Ngabu. We feel like that'll be a great fight. And um people act like Ngabu's not a top notch guy in a division. It's just, we talked about it on this platform. It's crazy how a layoff can like set you back. Like, and Gabu never really did anything inside the ring for him to be looked at any different other than a top guy. But that layoff just kills fighters, man. Like, it kills fighters,
Yeah.
and hopefully Ngabu can get another fight in, and then maybe we can talk about an Ngabu Reactpo fight. And I think that'll be a real good fight, man. Real good fight. But we'll definitely get Ngabu on, and we could definitely talk about that for sure, because that's a hot topic right now.
But
Burt Wood in the building, my OG in the building, said G5 question. Anui moving up to 122-pound class from 118. What tangibles would he need to take up with him?
I don't think much at that weight class.
Say it again.
I think at 122, I don't think he needs much.
Yeah,
Mm.
Burt Wood, if we were talking like 160 to 168 or 168 to 175, then the tangibles really
It's very important.
is very important. When you're talking a 4 pound difference, it's mainly does his chin hold,
Rehydration.
yeah, rehydration, and does his chin hold up. That's really it. But a 4 pound difference, he should have everything physically. He should have everything. He should have the speed. He should have the power. It's not that much of a weight difference. And to be honest with you, he don't have to come in at 122. Like, if the weight is really like an issue for him to keep
Most
his
of those
intangibles.
dudes who are fighting at that weight class, bro, they just make weight and then rehydrate to maybe 130, whatever, maybe 130 something. Like, to be fair, I don't think at those weight classes a massive problem.
No, not at all.
You look
So
at people like Pacquiao and even what Shakur's doing right now and Tank Davis, like
mhm.
they move up and maybe to make weight on the scales might be difficult for them. But once they're in the ring, they look like uh like money. Like they look like nothing's affected them because most of those dudes, like, they have to shred to make the weight. So camp is easier for them because they're not even having to shred as much as they had to shred at the weight class below, you know?
right. What I would say is now, Bert, if you're asking that question with with Cool Boy Steph in mind, the one thing I can tell you is that rehydration will be the key in that fight. How much does a Nui actually rehydrate? Because we know what Cool Boy Steph does um, in between weigh in and fight night. So that'll be very, very, very important if you're asking for that reason. Bert Wood question: we're moving up in weight class. What mistakes do they make in the new weight class? Um, Again, it depends on what type of weight class. If you're talking the lower weight classes, 118 to 122, even if you're talking 130 to 135, the main thing is basically the rehydration, like Shane said. Can your chin hold up? Things like that. When you're talking 160 to 168, 168, 175, even 154 to 160, it's more so, is your physical tangible
Physical,
still the
yeah,
same? Yeah,
physical.
is
I,
your physical still the same?
I feel like what a lot of people do is when they're making that move up, especially as Jeff said, when you're moving 8 pounds, 9 pounds,
Hmm.
whatever, to those weight classes, I feel like a
Hmm.
lot of people do the bad thing, which is put on extra muscle, and that extra muscle is heavier to carry when you're in the ring. It's easy to it burns fat. It doesn't burn fat. It burns energy quicker than fat does. Because whilst you're fat and um you might be very heavy, muscle is what is burning all that energy because it's your muscles that's being used to throw punches. It's your muscles that's being used to move around the ring. It's your muscles that's being used to evade punches. So a lot of people try to bulk up and put on that extra muscle because they're at a higher weight class, and yeah, that's the
Yeah,
mistake that they make.
yeah, and you gotta put on those Bert. You gotta put on those pounds the right way. You gotta put them on the right way. For example, I'll give you two examples just off the top of the dome. When B Hop went up from 160 to 170 to go see Kelly Pavlik, he put that weight on correctly. You know what I'm saying? And he kept all his physical tangibles going into that fight. But you take a guy like Adrian Broner. When Broner went from 135 to 147, even when he fought Maidana, his weight looked bloated. He didn't look like a solid 147. He just looked like a guy that just ate his way to the weight.
Like a lot of those dudes, like they might have been off season, and their off seasons maybe they might fight at one. Let's use Adrian Broner as an example. He might fight at 140, 147, 140, and his weight up before, like in his off seasons, 160, 170. Those dudes ain't thinking, well, let me get myself back into shape. They're thinking, well, instead of me only having to cut 20 pounds, this time I have to cut 15 pounds. So that means they've got 5 pounds of weight that's there. That's just that's a hindrance to them because they're thinking they have to cut less weight to make weight instead of let me get in shape. And that's the problem that you're seeing right now.
Yeah, so and just because you weigh a certain amount doesn't mean that that's your fighting weight, and um you gotta factor in body mass as well. Like, so for example, I don't want to stay on this too long, but for example, you take Triple G when he fought Kell Brook. When they had a 30-day weight check, Kell Brook actually weighed more than Triple G. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we all knew that Triple G was the bigger guy. It didn't matter what the weight was. So when he stepped into the ring, he looked way bigger. than Kell Brook. And Kell Brook, he bulked up, he gained weight, like however he did it, and it still didn't equal, the body mass of Triple G. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just all weight. You can come in weighing the same as somebody but look completely different. See, Ryan Garcia and Tagu. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, weight is just the part that the commission focuses on. You have to be a certain weight. But when putting in the mass and all those other things, it's a whole different ball game. Devontae in the building. Big shout out to you, bro. He said, peace and blessings, family. Big shout out to you, family. My guy, Bruce, in the building. Big shout out to Bruce. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please, that is a must subscribe. Definitely go subscribe to his channel. Burt Wood said Brandon Figueroa versus Inui will be a war. Yeah, that'd be crazy. I think that'd be crazy.
That'll
I
be
don't
an
even,
amazing fight. That's an
bro.
amazing fight.
That is a crazy fight. To be honest with you, Burt, I would suggest that fight over the Fulton fight. I would suggest that fight over the Fulton fight because he'll be able to do more things offensively against Brandon Figueroa. He's not as tight as Stephen Fulton is. That would be that would have the potential to be like an all-time great fight, like for the lower weight classes. That could really be and it's crazy. I never even thought about that. Like, that's crazy. That'd be a crazy fight, bro. Said I read when you go up in weight, those bigger boxers you punch not as strong.
I'm not. See that it depends on how much you move up a weight class. Like if you're like a Canelo who's originally started at 154, 147, and then stretched himself to 175, then I understand that. But when you look at fighters who move up single weight classes, their power tends to carry. Like I'm just trying to figure out a fighter of example, but
that kept where their
most of the
power
time,
carries.
yeah, like most of the time their power carries. A Terence Crawford, for example, his power is carried up the weight classes. Who else? I'm trying to figure out somebody whose power is carried up a weight class. I can't even remember because
Maul power is pretty much the same. He's getting
yeah,
guys about the
his
same.
power is probably his power is carried up. His power is definitely carried up. Trying to think of anybody else.
Actually,
Look at Danny Garcia, for example. His power didn't quite carry up when he moved up to 147.
right. His power didn't carry up. And it's just like physically, you gotta think he's been at 47 for years, and he's just now taking his first fight at 54. So everybody's progression in terms of the weight classes is not the same. Everybody's not the same. Big shout out to YSM Sports Media. Big shout out to you, bro. He said Figueroa stops Inui. And he said,
I'm not
and I'm a
100%
Bowie
sure about
fan.
it.
I don't know, bro. I got to think about that, man. I got to think about that.
I'm not
But
sure about that. I think Figueroa is a big fighter, but if I was to be honest and I was to be fair, I actually think Inoue probably hits harder than Figueroa. Off a single shot, I think Inoue probably hits harder than Figueroa.
it's the thing about Inui is he gets so much speed on his velocity on his shots, man. Like, and he don't really crank neither. Like, it's compact and there's so much
Stay there,
velocity
Jeff. I
on
gotta do
shots.
something. Give me one
Go
second.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead. No, you good, you good. Big shout out to my guy, Padman McGriff, man. Said what up, Chance. Big shout out to you, bro. I'm gonna actually switch up a little bit and get into Edgar Berlanga. His fight against Angulo that went down this past Saturday. Edgar Berlanga got a unanimous decision, and it's crazy with Berlanga because like we be having a whole debate like off camera, like how big is his ceiling? Like, is Berlanga going to be a top 10 guy, a consistent top 10 guy at 168 pounds? Is he going to be a top 5 guy? Is he a future legit world champion? Like, where is his ceiling? You know what I'm saying? Like, where is his ceiling? Because I look at him, I'm like, he's a prospect with popularity. He's a prospect with popularity. YSM after 140, the weight classes are 6 to 7 pounds apart. The lower weights are 4 and 5 pounds. That plays a factor. That's 100% facts. I was getting ready to say 140 is the cutoff. 135 to 140 is the cutoff. And So from junior welterweight to welterweight is 7 pounds. Um, from welterweight to junior middleweight, that's 7 pounds. Um, Junior middleweight to middleweight, that's six. That's 54 to 60. Um, Middleweight to super middleweight, that's 8 pounds, 160 to 168. And then it's 7 pounds from 168 to 175. So it's just, it's crazy. You know, it's crazy how that is. But no, Wyatt, you're 100% right, man. Like once you get to that cap of 140, then you start talking. Now you got to talk to the Padmans. You got to talk to the Rob Acostas, and you really got to make sure you got your strength and conditioning right, and you have to let them make the decision. Like, yo, like I think he's ready for one. He's ready for 147. He's ready for 154, whatever the next weight class is. Good point though. Bruce Gas, Berlanga will have hell with Spike O'Sullivan. Bruce, bro, I made a list of guys that Berlanga could fight right now, and I'm not 100% sure he beats them. And mind you, this is people think I have something against Berlanga, and I really don't. Um, I truly don't. But I know a prospect when I see one. I know the questions that I have to ask with any prospect. I want any prospect to go through the same process. I literally ran down like a bunch of names. I'm gonna get them for you because I actually jotted them down. Let me pull my list up real quick. And these are all legit names at the weight class, and I'm talking 168. Um, Give me a second. Let me pull this up real quick. And y'all tell me whether y'all agree with me or you don't. Um, let's go. We're gonna go Lerone Richards from out of the UK. I don't know if Berlanga wins that fight. Um, we're gonna also go with Kyron Davis. Kyron Davis, that's another fighter that fights at 168 on occasion. I don't know if he wins that fight. Take a shooting off. Shooting off's another guy. I don't know if he wins that fight. Gabe Rosado. I don't know if Berlanga wins that fight. Um, Shane Mosley Jr. The way Shane Mosley Jr. looked in his last fight against Rosado, I don't know if Berlanga. I don't know if Berlanga wins that fight. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he wins that fight. Like that's 5, 6 names off the rip. That's 5, 6 names off the rip, and those are all questionable joints. I'll give you Ronald Ellis. Ronald Ellis is another fighter. That's a really good fighter. Um, Anthony Durrell. Does he beat Anthony Durrell? You know, that's another guy. I still think he's a year and a half away from the Anthony Durrells and the Jesse Harts of the world. So there's a good 8 to 10 names where I'm just like, I don't know. But Padman McGriff said you hit it right on the nose, prospect popularity, G5. Yeah, man, it's just when a prospect is popular, man, like we tend to speed up their progression. We tend to speed up their progression because we want to see them in a money fight so bad because they're popular. Berlanga went probably his first what 16 fights or something like that. 15, 16 fights. First 15, maybe first round knockouts, something like that. All of them in the first round. And I said back then, I was just like, Berlanga is still he's a project, he's a prospect, but he's just popular as hell right now. But to be honest with you, his last 4 fights is really the beginning of his career. You can't truly evaluate a fighter if he's not getting past the first round. You know what I'm saying? The only person we were able to do that with was Tyson. Like we knew he was the goods. Like the eyes didn't lie. But with Berlanga, you just knew that he was going to hit a wall at some point in terms of the competition. Now, a lot of the intangibles, he's showing me some of the intangibles that you need. He's been in the ring hurt, got through it. He's knocked down. He's got knocked down, got himself up. He's had times when he was put on the back foot and he had to kind of figure it out. So he has a lot of the intangibles to be a really consistent top 5 to 10 fighter at 168. And mind you, I'm saying that because 168 is not that stacked. You know what I'm saying? But Berlanga, you got to look at how his skill development is going to be. And we all know now that you can't just put Berlanga up against anybody and think he's going to be okay. You have to match him up correctly, and you have to have the right coach and the right skill development with Edgar Berlanga. I think he got the heart. I think he got the power. I think he got the pizzazz. You know, that it factor inside. I think he has all of that. It's really just a matter of skill and how they match him up. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. He said, bro, I just went through the same list with Rob, and I said the same thing, laughing my ass off. Bro, I don't know. And there's no disrespect to Berlanga. People think it's a disrespect when you question how a person is, is going to actually perform against top 10 guys. Listen, he was put in front of our faces because he was knocking everybody out in the first round. He was marketed as this monster, like this killer, like this. You step into the ring with Berlanga, you're not getting past one round, but you go into gyms, you go into boxing gyms and things like that, and you just like, for a fact that's not the case. Like he's just going on a run. Like you take Gary Antoine Russell, like he has a knockout for every single fight he's been in, but nobody looks at Gary Antoine Russell as this monster in terms of like he's getting everybody up out of there. It's not the case. Sometimes, numbers don't tell the entire truth. You know what I'm saying? There's numbers within the numbers. You know what I'm saying? But Edgar Berlanga, I'm looking forward to his development going forward, and I'm gonna give him the same time frame that I would give any other prospect, for him to develop. He's still looking at another year and a half before he gets to Anthony Durrell or Jesse Hart or anybody like that. He's not ready for that type of smoke yet. He's not ready for that type of smoke yet. Like the Caleb Plants of the world, like he's not ready for that type of smoke. But we're going to see if he can get there though. Just because he's not ready right now, I don't think he's ready right now. Just because you don't think he's ready right now, don't mean he's not going to be ready in a year from now. He might prove me wrong, and he may be ready within the next year or so. You know what I'm saying? But watching that fight, and then oh man, Josue, oh my god, whew, Josue Vargas, man, like got knocked out again, knocked through the ropes. And man, I have you not seen a person fall from like a certain level so fast? You know, had a marquee fight in his last fight, got knocked silly, and that became a meme because I think his brother or something was like crying in the crowd. I don't even want to see what his brother was looking like after this fight. Real rap. Like it's just he can't really he can't he's getting caught with shots, and the main thing with Josue is that when he's in trouble, he don't know how to go into just defense mode. He don't know how to go into defense mode. He doesn't know how to hold. He doesn't know how to buy time. A fight that early, to be honest with you, he might have been better off taking a knee. A veteran would do that. They would just take a knee, get himself an 8 count. They might spit their mouthpiece out. He'd be like, hey, listen, I gotta get my mouthpiece replaced. He buys himself 20, 25 seconds. That's what a veteran fighter would do. That's what an OG would do. You know what I'm saying? Um, that's what an OG would do. So, those are the things that you have to learn as a boxer. I don't know where Josue goes from here. I don't know where Josue goes from here. That's a that's just another devastating loss. And he Josue looking like a 3-piece with the fries right now, man. And the you know what I mean, and the medium soft drink, man. He looking like a snack right now. You know what I'm saying? But it's up to him and his team to figure out what to do going forward. And I'm talking like his career. Because when you're consistently getting knocked out like that, you got to really evaluate what's going on. With Josue, is he killing himself to make weight? Is the weight the problem? Is this it's just the chin? Is it just the chin? Some guys they kill so much weight, they be a zombie when they walk into the ring. Like they look good physically, but they be a zombie. When they walk into the ring and the first clean shot they get hit with, they up out of there. And that's really a lot of times that really be the difference. Sometimes with fighters, you might see one fight, they taking shots left and right. They taking shots like a champ. The next fight, they get the first clean shot they get thrown with. You know what I'm saying? First clean shot they get thrown with, it's a wrap. You know what I mean? Um, but Bruce, I don't know if he beat Spike O'Sullivan either. And I forgot about Spike in the list. But Spike would give him problems. Spike would definitely give him problems. So but he's not ready for the Jesse Harts and the Anthony Durrells, guys like that, Danny Jacobs, guys like that. Like he's not ready for those guys. Like he's not ready for those guys at all, man. And but we gonna see how it plays out, man. Like maybe he proves me wrong. Maybe he proves a lot of people wrong, but that's why we're all invested in the sport of boxing and we follow individual fighters. You understand what I'm saying? So we gonna see what happens. But we done covered Berlanga. We done covered the Dubois fight. I don't know where Trevor Bryan goes from here. To be honest with you, that'd be a good look for Wilder. That'd be a good look for Wilder. If Wilder is gonna come back, Trevor Bryan would be a good look. It'll be a good look for him. He should get the KO, but to get his feet wet, have him work on some things like that. Trevor Bryan might be a good, solid return fight for Deontay Wilder. So definitely, that's just I don't have no inside information, but that's just me just putting one and two together. I think that'd be a good look for Wilder if and when he returns to the ring. You got Reactpo. Reactpo got a knockout victory with a body shot, and it was crazy because it depends on the angle in which you looked at the body shot. The body shot that I seen from one angle, it looked like he just scraped his skin. Like it didn't even look like it really landed like that. But then I seen it from another angle, and it looked like the shot got in there real good, and then like the follow through kind of just glanced off. So it was that's a big victory for Reactpo. And he's probably like 2 fights away from that Coley fight. And we're gonna see. We're gonna see what happens with that. But before I continue, like we gotta give props to all of the Hall of Fame inductees that got in over the weekend, man. I'm not gonna mention everybody, but just to highlight the main names. Floyd Mayweather, of course. Andre Ward, Roy Jones, James Toney, and the who's who was in there celebrating, and to see Floyd get emotional during that speech and the passion in which Roy Jones was speaking. It's a beautiful thing, and it's like you could critique them outside of the ring as much as you want. You critique what they do, how they operate, how they live, all of that. If that's what you want to do, all right, cool. But these are people that have dedicated their whole lives for that moment. They've dedicated their lives for that moment. And it's a beautiful thing to see Floyd kind of riding around, no cameras, no nothing. He's just riding around and he's just in his glory. You know what I'm saying? It's just great to see, and congratulations to every single fighter in boxing figure. Like even Lou DiBella got into the Boxing Hall of Fame. So everyone that was inducted into the in the Boxing Hall of Fame, and congratulations to you. Many blessings, and those are the people that I aspire to talk to. I know it's cool to interview people that are in the game right now and all that. Man, you line me up some Hall of Famers, man. I'll just sit back and I would probably ask one question, be like, give me your top 5 stories. Give me your top 5 boxing stories throughout your career, and just sit back and just let them go. Just let them talk. You know what I mean? And I would be completely satisfied with how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Um, and you had a lot of other guys. I think Julian Jackson was there. Terrence Crawford was there. My guy Ivan Robinson was in the building. Big shout out to Ivan Robinson. It was so many people there, man. Like it's just to see greatness all in one place, all in one space. Is it's just a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? So congratulations to them. I mean, if I had my choice of who to interview, I ain't even gonna lie. I would probably say Roy, Andre Ward, and I would say probably I would say Roy Jones, Andre Ward, James Toney, of course, and it's crazy. I wouldn't even want to talk to Floyd about no boxing. Like I would want to talk to him about his sports betting thing like that. He is a cannon when it comes down to the sports betting for sure. I would love to talk to him about that and kind of get his take on those things, man. But again, congratulations to those guys on being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And we got so much going on, man. Like we got Artur Beterbiev and Joe Smith this weekend. We got that fight going on. I gotta see who on the undercard of that. Like last time I checked, they didn't even have an undercard for that. Let me check that real quick. Give me just a second, y'all. Give me just a second. See if they got an undercard going for this fight. I mean, they should. Ooh, yo, this is a good fight. That's a good fight. Shame.
What's the topic? What's the topic?
I just switched over to Beterbiev, Joe Smith. Bro, Abraham Nova versus Robisi Ramirez. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. I like that fight.
Last time Nova was out, I can't even remember.
Say it again.
When was the last time Nova was out? I can't even remember. This dude's doing his
Last time Nova was in the ring. Nova was in the ring January.
Yeah, I was thinking he's been pretty active. I know he's fought recently.
Yeah. That's a good fight though.
That guy's way too big for the weight class.
Who for Nova?
Yeah, that's just way too big for the weight class.
Yeah, but as long as he can get away with it, I mean, he fights at featherweight. I mean, he probably could fight 2 weight classes above.
That's
To be honest with you, yeah, he's a big boy. That's a big boy at featherweight.
that 26. I thought he fought at 30.
Nah, this fight is going down to featherweight. It's a featherweight fight. He fights at
That's even worse.
yeah. So, but that's a good fight. But the thing that's crazy, that's the only other fight that's on the undercard as of right now, and that fight's going down this weekend. So I don't know what's going on with that. Usually Top Rank have a whole slew of undercard fights, like no problem. But for them to only have one other fight announced on that card is kind of I'm not gonna say concerning because they've been around for so long, but it's kind of interesting. They haven't dropped the full. I'm fully expecting for them to drop the full lineup tomorrow. Anything outside of that, I'm asking questions at that point.
New York.
Yep, New York. And they just came off of a fight in New York. So it's going down in the same place back to back. You know what I'm saying? But before when you went off though, I was running through Bruce put this up. He said Berlanga would have hell with Spike O'Sullivan.
No. That's a bit too far. He will watch Spike O'Sullivan, bro.
And Spike wasn't even a part of the list that I had.
Nah, but I would even want to see him fight Spike O'Sullivan. Spike O'Sullivan will be another dude who's a 1-round fight, you know. I think Spike O'Sullivan got knocked out in the first round against Jaime Munguia, if I'm correct.
Did he?
Didn't Jaime knock him out in the first round, or was it Lemieux who knocked him out in the first round? One of those dudes.
It might have been Lemieux. But yeah, I was running through the list. The list, you remember the list we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, yeah.
And YSM said this. He said, I just went through the same list for Rob and I said the same thing. Yeah, I'm like, it's about a good 10 dudes. You don't know if he beats him. You don't know if he beats him right now. So
But I don't think Berlanga. To me, I don't think Berlanga's the dude who I look at and think, okay, this dude's gonna be the next superstar of boxing.
Yeah.
You
And I
know,
said,
he had a good run, like the
mm-hmm.
16 fights, the knockout run, but I don't think you look at him like, oh, he's gonna be the next best thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't look at that in that way either. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think what else I brought up when I said Josue. I said Josue, they gonna have to have discussions about his career, man. You know what I mean? Josue getting knocked out like that again, you know, it's crazy. You know what I mean? But people ain't even mad about it because he talks so much trash. You know what I mean? But Josue, I was like, they're gonna have to make decisions on that man's career.
Weekend.
Huh?
I just saw a promo. I don't know if that was from last weekend or this weekend.
No, he fought on the undercard and got knocked out again. Got knocked through the roof.
Again,
Through the ropes. He didn't go to the floor, but he got knocked through the
fight.
roof. Who was his opponent? I forgot his opponent name. I could look it up real quick. But he got knocked through the ropes and got stopped again. Third round. Man. Like, so it's just they going to make he was like almost championship level. Like he was a fight to get to a title fight. So to go from that to this the second straight time you've been knocked like silly.
I
You know
wouldn't
what
know
I'm saying?
if he's taking this psychologically as well because
Exactly. That's
he's
why I said you got to make
very
decisions.
heavy.
Yeah, but that's why Dakota Linger, dude was 12-5.
Wow.
He's supposed to have been you know what that was supposed to be. You know
Yeah,
what that was supposed to be.
one of those get a win
Yeah,
type
but
of
see,
fight.
but he got a win back in March though. So they was trying to get him, continue to get him on that, get him on that path. But you can't take care of a dude that's 12-5, then you got a problem. And that's why I'm like the dudes that get knocked down and they get back up and respond. That's why I kind of give them guys credit because you got situations like this where he gets knocked down and it's just now you got to check his mental state. I mean, what more can you do for him? I mean, to be honest with you, the only thing you can really do for him is keep him off camera for a while. Put him on the untelevised portions of fights. You know what I'm saying? Keep him off the grid. He might have to fight in somebody's gym or somebody's hall or something like that for a couple of fights and get himself back right. So when you look up to see him again, be like, oh, he done ran off like 4 or 5 straight. I don't know who they are, but he done ran off 4 or 5 straight.
Yeah.
Completely, revamp his career. Big shout out to Jay Banks. Jay Banks in the building. What's going on? Andre Southgate in the building says salute all here listening. Big shout out to you, bro. Go subscribe to Andre Southgate channel as well, man. No doubt. Hey, Southgate, man, you had your video on private, yo. You was on live and had it on private, man. I tried to tap in, man, and said private. You gave me an admission fee at the front door, man. I don't appreciate it, man. Burt Wood, G5, Andre Rozier did an interview. His favorite fighters are Stephen Fulton. He said is a bad man. His second favorite fighter is Inouye. Quote, he said if Inouye takes his best tangibles to 122, he said if the monster is 100%, he will pick Inouye over Fulton, but Inouye has to be 100% to beat Fulton. Quote. That's a tough matchup. That's a tough matchup for Inouye. It's a tough matchup because the size difference is going to be
it's a tough matchup for both.
Yeah, but the size difference is going to be huge. Size difference is going to be huge.
It's going to be a big size difference, but then Fulton isn't a fighter who takes advantage of the weight. You know, he's not a person who's going to be. I mean, he's not a heavy puncher. You know, he doesn't punch like a natural 130 pounder or 126 pounder. He punches like a dude who's at 122. Inoue, he probably definitely punches harder than Fulton. And then in terms of the actual just weight bullying around, I mean, I'm not saying that Fulton doesn't have the ability to do that, because he does. But I just see Fulton as a much cleaner fighter, and it's going to be a fight of fundamentals. That's why I think the fight's closer than people would think.
Yeah, and I just think that it's a tough fight. Can Anui bring something to the table for me to not think of this as a good big man versus a good little man? Can he bring
Power,
can he
he
bring
has
something
power,
to the table?
power,
And
power.
that's the question. Like, does it carry up? You thinking 4 pounds, it should carry up. But it's one of them things. I'm like, his power may carry up, but I'm like, if Fulton can eat those shots, he gonna end up having a problem. He gonna end up having a problem. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't. Inui hasn't been in the ring with a guy built like Fulton. He's been in the ring with a lot of guys.
No,
Don't get me wrong, but he hasn't been in the ring with a Fulton. So that'll be an interesting fight. PGH Big Dog, big shout out to you, family. What's going on with you? Appreciate you jumping on, man. Burt Wood, I heard these fighters' hands get soft. Burt Wood, to be honest with you, that's why, like, these dudes can literally take insurance out on their hands. You know what I mean? That's why they be in the gyms with 18-ounce gloves, 20-ounce gloves, because you don't want to, those your money makers. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to end up hurting them joints in camp. Prime example of a guy that had really brittle hands is Floyd. Floyd had brittle hands probably the last maybe 5 years of his career. Like he had to get injections in his hands before fights. That's why he fought in Vegas all the time, because they was the only state that would allow him to. What was it called? Vitacaine? Was it Vitacaine that he was shooting in his hands? They was the only state that would allow him to do it. So whenever he had fights, he was like, "Yo, I might fight in New York. I might fight here. I might fight there." He wasn't going nowhere outside of Vegas because they gave him everything he wanted, and that was including the stuff for his hands. You know what I mean? So Paulie Malignaggi, he was another person that had brittle hands. You know what I mean? Andre Southgate, thanks. I put all my lives on private when it's done. Something I've been doing, the live would have been finished. Okay. I just caught it late. Okay. Cool. Burt Wood, G5 Shane. Y'all got me on the 122 class. You may cut this other one off, bro?
yeah, I've cut it off already.
Okay. Yeah, he said, Shane, y'all got me on the 122 class. 122 serious. I would respect Inui for going up to 122, period, outside of Stephen Fulton. Like Inui versus Leo, that's a good fight. Inui versus Figueroa, good fight. Inui versus Eileen, good fight. It's a bunch of good fights for him in 122. Let me see. He said that bite was a shocker.
Why
Yeah,
did you get disqualified for that?
yeah. That's and let's be
I'm
clear.
genuinely asking a question. Why did you not get disqualified for that?
To be honest with you, bro, I don't even think he got a point taken.
Because I remember a couple years ago, was it David Price who got bitten in his stomach? Remember?
Right. Yes.
I don't remember. I remember that fight ending in a disqualification. Don't know why this dude. I mean, the commission can actually go back to a fight and issue a decision on that fight after the fight's finished.
I think he's gonna get away with it because he missed. Like if he would have actually bit him, like that would have been like, yeah. But he actually missed. So I think he's probably
The
gonna
hell
get
you
away
missed
with
with
a
a bite?
fine. It was the angle, man. He was like this. Like you
You know
know,
what's so crazy? He came in there with a sweet one. And if I was
oh,
thinking,
that's his lady, man. That's his lady. You ain't never see her before?
never in my life, but he's winning.
Bro, hold on. I got you, bro. Hold on.
I was thinking to myself, could you imagine this? You like
We
you got a wife and you're giving another man a hickey on TV. Like, what's going on?
Yo, that's funny. That's a timestamp. Yo, what's that? 54 minutes. That's a timestamp. I must send you. I got you, bro. I'm gonna send you one joint. Uh, like definitely winning for sure. Hold on,
Sweet
rewind.
one.
She a problem. She definitely a problem. So and that's a basic joint. I ain't even send you no. I ain't even send you nothing crazy. That's just a
Yeah,
basic.
yeah, that's cool. I'll go look at it after.
Yeah. She ain't no plain Jane. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, he's
Um,
definitely winning. Was she Puerto Rican as well?
yeah.
I need something like we don't have Puerto Rican people in the UK, bro.
Hey, bro, man, I got that waiting for me. Uh, I'm at to do camp in Colorado Springs or something, man. I can't be coming home to that. You know what I'm
Um,
saying? That's gonna be a problem. T Finney in the building. Big shout out to T. Did y'all hear Charlo Tim is moving forward? I think it will be another KO for Charlo. Um, I think
Tim
he
Zoo is very, very big and very, very strong. I don't think he'll be a KO. I'll be honest. I think he'll be very, very similar to the Castano fight, other than the fact that I think Tim Zoo could actually fight at range as well. I think Castano was one dimensional the whole way through, whereas I actually like Tim Zoo, but I think Charlo's elite. You know, he's an elite fighter.
if they're following through with that, I think I think Charlo's catching Zoo at the right time. To be honest with you, I think that's one of those things where popularity and name is forcing him into this fight. I still think Zoo is probably about a solid 2 fights away from a Charlo to give him a legit shot in terms of him being like completely seasoned.
I
Um,
mean, there's the new crop of 154 dudes are coming through. I mean, what Zayas is at 154 now? No, not Zayas. Yeah, Zayas. What's he at 154?
he's so young and so big. He might end up at like 68, bro.
But he's at 154. You got Tim Zoo at 154. You got
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian Fondora at 154. You got Madrimov, who's fighting Sorrow on the
Mm-hmm.
Derek Chisora undercard. He's at 154. You know, there's a few dudes coming through the ranks again at 154, and then not to mention what happens with Errol Spence and Crawford.
Yeah, it's a nice crop at 154, and it kind of reminds me 154 is starting to shape out like 140, like where it's a lot of just
Yeah,
solid names, man.
I don't.
140 is
I think 154 is more looking at like because a lot of these dudes are still prospects, whereas the 140 dudes, I wouldn't call the dudes prospects. I think 154 is more like 140, maybe when Crawford came around. When Crawford just left 140, that's when I think
yeah,
it would like you had the likes of Pro Grey coming through. You had Taylor, he was still green in his career. You had who else was there at that time? Can't even remember.
yeah,
Can't even remember, but
yeah. Let's see, Burt Wood, G5 who wins, MJ or Fulton.
tough fight.
It's a tough fight, man. I'm gonna say Fulton because I think he's the cleaner fighter. But if MJ lands that money shot, man, it's gonna be interesting to see how Fulton reacts to it. Um, I don't think MJ wins that fight unless he lands a money shot at some point during the
Facts.
fight.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
Southgate said, yeah, he will get away with it, even with Tyson versus Holyfield. He tried several times before he got DQ'd. To be honest with you,
No,
yo,
but I've seen a fight where I mentioned the fight the other day, a couple years ago. Maybe this would be like maybe 3 years ago when David Price, he got one bite, literally one bite, and they just disqualified the dude. I can't remember who he fought though. It was it was a trash fighter, but I
hmm
can't remember his name though. For the life of me, I can't remember this dude's name. But I can remember seeing his face though.
yeah. Um, let's see, Bert. Did I hear wrong? They said Donaire and the knew he wore 7 ounce gloves.
Was it 7?
I didn't even know they had 7 ounce gloves. They got 7 ounce gloves, bro. I
I mean,
sent
what did they have in UFC?
Now those are different types of gloves. Period. Those are just they're like I think 4 ounces or something like that. They're almost like biker gloves, almost gloves that the bikers wear when they, you know what I'm saying, when they ride. That's not even a regular like type glove. Um, Burt Woods said, G5, did I miss your pound for pound list? Ring magazine has the Nui #1. No, you didn't miss it because I didn't drop it. I'm gonna drop it tomorrow. I'm glad you reminded me. But I will drop it tomorrow on the gram, and I will preview it on the show tomorrow, and we could definitely talk about that. T Finney said, I agree, G5. I think Tim needs a few more fights, but he's undefeated, has been calling Charlo out, so he's getting what he asked for. Yeah, it's just it's hard for me to pick Zoo after that Charlo performance. It's
Yeah.
really that simple.
I
It
don't
is
think there's
hard.
anything Tim's you could have done that could make me pick him beating Charlo. I
I
mean, there's a few names that I think would have prepared him well for a Charlo. I think if Tim Zoo had fought maybe uh uh what's my dude's name? J Rock, and he got a win against a J Rock, that would have impressed me. If he got a win against
him and Tony, him and
Tim
Tony would have been a
Patrick,
good fight.
Tony, a Patrick Teixeira, someone at that level, I would have been impressed with.
Yeah. Um, it's just in his last fight, you can see that he needs one or two more fights with those type level guys to get himself acclimated to the competition. It's not even, that he's not more skilled than them or physically more talented. It's just to get, you know, acclimated to the atmosphere. The fact that you got another dude that's going to throw right back with you. He needs another fight or two for that. For him to go from his last fight to a Charlo, that's asking a lot, man. Like that's asking a lot. But if he gets the victory, he is that dude, though. I give him that. I give him that. If he convincingly beats Charlo, I got nothing. You know what I mean? John Hugh in the building. Big shout out to John Hugh. Said Haney must be looking at Taylor after the Cambosis rematch. Do you think that fight will be made, and how do you see that going?
I think the rematch will be made, to be honest. I think Ambosis wants the rematch. I think the rematch will be made. I think that rematch ends in Haney winning again. But if you're talking about Taylor and Haney, I think Taylor's gonna beat Haney. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'd pick Taylor to beat Devin Haney.
If the Josh Taylor that I know shows up, not the one in this last fight, the one that I know, I would favor Taylor over Haney
That is
because
a
just
that's a bad style for Devin Haney. I
yeah,
think
because
there's
I
certain styles that you just don't want to really be fighting.
I
And you can't afford to just be boxing clean. You're gonna have to show me something different. You're gonna have to show the judges something extra. Because the
right.
problem with Devin Haney, he he likes to box, keep it clean. He's not really that greedy. He takes what he gets and he keeps it moving. With Taylor, you're gonna have to do a little bit more than that because he's gonna be in the kitchen working. So even if you're landing 2 3s, he's landing 5 6 7s. And for one, anything Devin Haney throws, Taylor's just gonna walk through that. Taylor's walked through power punches before. Like he walked like he was walking through Ramirez. He fought O'Hara Davis, walked through O'Hara Davis. He was sitting in a pocket trading off with Regis Prograis. This dude is not going to be worried about anything that comes at him. And then he can also fight at long range. Yes, Devin Haney definitely does have a better jab, a quicker jab, but he can fight at long range also. So those 2 3 4 jabs around, that's not going to be enough against
Yeah,
Josh Taylor for me.
yeah. I want people to remember that Josh Taylor had a bad performance. Josh Taylor's a bad motherfucker though. That's a bad boy. And I've learned just over the years of watching boxing that you have to categorize when a guy has had a bad night and when a guy is on the decline. It looked like Josh Taylor just had a bad night at the office against Catterwall, but I'm taking Josh Taylor over Catterwall 10 out of 10. I'm taking him 10 out of 10. Josh Taylor's a bad boy at 140, man, and I feel like, but this is the nature of the sport that we're in. Whatever your last fight was, that's people's only thought. It don't matter what you did 2 fights before that or whatever. If you had a trash performance in your last fight, that's what people talking about.
The truth is, 140 is so dangerous. You know, you got people like Montana Love, Brandon Lee, Gary Antoine Russell.
Subriel Matisse.
Yeah, you got Barbosa, you got Zapata.
You still got Postal that can give people problems.
Yeah, exactly. You still got Postal that can give people problems. I mean, someone like Teofimo Lopez is supposed to be moving up. Someone like Devin Haney, he has to be real careful, even trying to even say, "Oh, I'm gonna go after Josh Taylor." You got Regis Prograis because
Prograde.
if remember, you're moving to 140. If you're moving to 140, that means you're gonna stay there. Because I can't see Devin Haney going from 140, taking one fight and then moving to 147. Neither
I,
can I see him taking one fight at 140, then moving to 135 again. So if you're
I,
going to be at 140, you're gonna have to stay there. And that's
I,
gonna be a problem.
yeah. To be honest with you, Hugh, that's a great question though. I would take Taylor. Taylor on his game beats Haney, and
I
the
could,
reason,
go on.
no, and the reason is because you, in order to win against Haney, you got to get Haney out of his plan A. We don't know what his plan B and his plan C is because his plan A always works. He boxes. You get him. What fighters can get Devin Haney out of his comfort zone? I would say Josh Taylor is one of them dudes. That's
But
why
there's
I
a
would pick
few
him.
dudes at 120 that can do that to him.
No,
Because I think
140.
140. Why did I say 120?
Yeah.
140 that can do that to him. I think Gary Anton Russell can do that to him. I mean, you even got people. I think what's my dude's name? I think Regis Prograis can do that to him. I
Mm-hmm.
think that big dude at 140 right now. Massive.
Who you talking about? Shit, you got
Eastern
Barrios at
European cat. I
140.
can't remember his name, but
You got
I'll
Barrios.
remember.
Barrios is a good name at 142. We forgot about him as well. You know what I'm saying? So this is crazy. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Barrios at 140 is nice. I put you like this. There's not one person at 140 you could do a round robin with, and I think they end undefeated. It's too deep. Way too deep.
I mean, even Sandor Martin's still at 140 right now.
Sandor Martin is at 140. Sandor Martin is at 140. 140 is deep. Like when you really think about it, it is deep. That's why I'm like, I'm hoping Josh Taylor doesn't have serious problems making a weight because at the stage that he's in right now with the promotional ties and things like that,
We
140
can
is where
see
all the
some good
bacon is.
fights. We can see
One
some good fights.
real good fights, and it could be some good money fights too because a lot of them dudes is going to go over to Josh Taylor home country and get it on. A
I
lot of them
mean,
going to go over there.
I heard Jose Ramirez is moving up to 147, but I think even if he stayed at 140, it'll be good.
Yeah, he stays at 140. That'll be good. But I mean, it's a morgue at 147 at top rank. There's a morgue out there for real. I don't know if he want to do that, but yeah, 140. He got plenty of match. I'm hoping it was just one of those situations where he just had a off night or he's getting too big for the weight class. I don't see Josh Taylor, and I don't see too big for the weight class. I don't know about you, Shane. What you think about that?
I've seen him a few times in person. I mean,
He doesn't look
I,
to me. He don't look like that.
I've seen water weights before. Like I've seen dudes like obviously I've seen Boots. Boots is massive, but like Chris Congo, I see he doesn't look. He doesn't look anywhere near Chris Congo's size for 147. But then he looks bigger than Conor Ben. So,
Okay, I got you.
but then, yeah, it's difficult to tell because it's difficult to tell, bro. It's difficult
Yeah.
to tell.
Burt Wood, Anui Donaire going into a rematch with Puncher's Gloves. What is a Puncher's Gloves by Fight Sports? A Puncher's
They
Glove is
copied me, by the way. They copied me. I had an article. About that 2 years ago.
yeah, they
That's a copied. I'm not gonna tell you where I wrote that article, but
Shane,
that's a copied article.
that's definitely something Shane touched on years ago. But to be honest with you, bro, like A puncher's glove is basically a horsehair glove versus a memory foam glove. Horsehair glove may be an 8 ounce. It might be an 8 ounce horsehair glove, but the way the ounces are distributed within the glove, not a lot of the ounces are around the knuckles, so that would be considered a puncher's
Or
glove.
or it could be like easily distributed because it's memory foam is memory foam. So when you hit it, just like you were to press against like a mattress, it will just
Mm,
come back to its shape. But when you
right.
punch with a horsehair glove, it just separates.
It's
It's
easy
like
for you to
punching a
manipulate.
beanbag. If you were to
Yeah,
press against a beanbag doesn't bounce back up. It kind of spreads,
it'll
and
spread out.
that's how it would happen over time. If you were to like, if you look at it, most people before they go in the ring, they probably do maybe 2-3 rounds on the pads before they go into the ring on those gloves. You know, and
Mm,
that's they just were wearing their fists into the gloves. You know, and punches
yeah,
glove. That's basically it. You know.
yeah, we've seen guys punching walls and shit. You know what I mean? Trying
There's
to
a
break.
dude. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you good, bro. Go ahead, go ahead.
There's a dude called Ross Abner. Ross Abner. He's normally in the corner for Mark Ramsey. Ross Abner is normally in the corner for Ramsey. He's in the corner for also Lomachenko's father.
Lomachenko. Hmm.
He does rivals gloves, and he will break down what punches gloves are.
Yeah, that's a fact. So it's just, but it's mainly that like you're gonna find very few memory foam gloves, and they'll say that's a puncher's glove. Any puncher's glove more than likely is going to be a horsehair glove, which is a whole nother conversation for another day. Like we could literally bring multiple people on, and they'll tell you like the difference in the gloves and and things like that, man. But listen, we gonna close this one out. We're gonna close this one out, man. Hour 12 minutes strong. We will be back tomorrow to give more of a further preview of Beterbiev and Joe Smith. I'm hoping they drop an undercard as well for that. We definitely need an undercard for that. So, we covered quite a bit today. Unless some other news comes out, we talking Beterbiev, Joe Smith tomorrow, and we're going to go from there. Shane, give me your social media so we can get up out of here, good brother.
I Shane the number one on Instagram.
Only on Instagram from my man VP Shane. Burtwood said, good show, number 102. Big shout out to you, Burtwood, man. Appreciate you. Go follow my man Boxing First Vlog, man. We're gonna throw his link up right there. Go follow his YouTube channel, Boxing First Vlog. Follow him on Instagram. I think it's boxing the number one ST vlog. And on Twitter, it's Boxing First Vlog, spelled all the way through. Big shout out to the big bro. Hopefully he'll be back on in short order. But big shout out to him. And everybody that tuned in today, man. So on behalf of VP Shane, your boy G5 Jeff TV, aka G5, aka 5, aka the Guru, on behalf of the staff, we're gonna see y'all tomorrow with episode 103. Peace.